Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where we do painting tutorials, and apologies in advance for the bad video quality. I don't know why I recorded this 4 times and it looks like I feel on a potato. So yeah, before you come after me for it, I'm perfectly aware it looks bad. Anyhow, I've started by weighing my paper with a spray ball simply because I'll be using a smaller brush. I don't know where my big brush is, and this just makes life much easier. I'm already having it hard enough as it is, so yeah, spray ball all the way. On deviled egg dish from the dollar store because we're a surviving artist, I have some quinacridone rose, some vermilion red, and some Payne's gray. I start by mixing the rose and the red together to make sort of like a neutral tomato kind of color, and I apply that mostly to the bottom half of my page, and I focus the Payne's gray on the upper half right now. I just want to have a quote-unquote background sort of color that I'm going to build upon later on. I apply a bit of the Payne's gray just to the bottom two corners, because this will be a lake scenery, so we'll have the bottom portion that reflects the top portion. And I add some more of the quinacridone rose and the vermilion red on top of that dark shadow on the very bottom. I mix the quinacridone with the vermilion directly onto the palette as if you're mixing acrylic, instead of mixing it onto the paper, because it just looks better in my opinion. And I place it for now horizontally in the sky, going left to right and right to left. The reason I'm using a smaller brush is the background is very wet. I literally used a spray ball over it. And using a smaller brush allows you to pick up more color, more pigment, resulting in more vibrant results than if I were to use a big fluffy brush instead. Now that I have most of my background colors placed onto the paper, I'm going to start working on making this a bit more dramatic. And what I mean by that is I'll be placing my colors at a diagonal motion, so from the top left corner towards the bottom right corner, and from the top right corner towards the bottom left. You'll see what I mean in just a bit now. I just want to focus a bit more on darkening up that lake portion on the very bottom, and I do that by applying more of my red and my rose. I'm trying to hold on the black for now. Well, it's technically gray, but it looks black, so you get what I mean. And I take that gray and I apply on the top corners in these diagonal motions that I mentioned. So it's all going to come down towards the horizon point, and it's going to look sort of like a stormy sunset. It's gonna look very nice at the end, hopefully. Then I fill in the space between the horizon and those black areas, basically the middle areas, with my mixture of vermilion and quinacridone, again in diagonal motions. Your newer layers, like right now that I'm darkening up with this diagonal motion, they do not need to seamlessly blend with the initial ones. If you can actually see where the older ones end and the newer ones start, it's going to add that dramatic effect. And if it blends seamlessly because you just, I don't know, use more water on your paper and you have better quality paper, that is absolutely no problem. Do that. I'm just using some cheap watercolor paper I found at my bookshop, not even the art store. I just went to look for some books and stuff, and I saw they carried some random watercolor paper. It was like €2.50, and I picked it up to try it, so yeah, beggars can't be choosers. Back to the painting, I keep on applying more of this Payne's gray, aka it's basically black, to the top two corners, bringing it down diagonally. Then I leave everything to air dry. Usually what drying does is it makes watercolors a bit duller, so I'm going to go with one more layer just to make everything extra saturated and extra vibrant. So again, I apply Payne's gray to the top two corners, bringing it down. Then I go with whatever excess color I have on my brush onto my reddish mix, and I use that in the middle section. So I have like a burgundy kind of red, like a very dark brownish red, and I use that to bring the Payne's gray from the corners a bit more towards the center of our painting. You can see we got that very nice highlight right in the center between the sky and the lake. And that is due to this diagonal motion I'm using because that's the part that remains the lightest. And yeah, I just really like this effect you get when using diagonal motions for your sky. It instantly makes a painting that would look very simple slash dull to make it look more interesting, like you put a bit extra effort into it, more dramatic, more whimsical, if you will. So that's why I do it. Then I keep adding more of my reddish mixture on the sides. I'm avoiding the center, I'm just focusing this on the sides of the sky beneath the black areas. And I'm feathering it in towards the highlight without covering it. It does help using a slightly wet brush. Like not dripping wet, I just dip it into my jar and then rub whatever excess is on the jar's lip. I think that's what you call it, without cleaning it on a napkin. So it has water but it's not dripping wet, and I use that to carry the paint towards the highlight, keeping the highlight bright. Then I dry everything with a hair dryer. I know I'm the person who always tells you not to use a hair dryer, but this was the fourth time I was recording a YouTube tutorial and they kept failing because the quality looked bad. So yes, I'm gonna use a hair dryer because I'm mad and angry and I can't be bothered waiting anymore. And I take just some of the paint spray and I sketch a very simple mountain shape over the horizon. I focus the mountains mostly on the sides of the highlight so it can peek through that valley area between the mountains. It's just easier to show you this than trying to explain it. Apologies, English is not my first or second language. Then I do very short horizontal brush strokes beneath those mountains to add a very simple reflection onto the lake. And lastly, I dilute some white gouache paint with water. I'm using the brush end of an eraser pen, so feel free to use any stiff brush you may have, or no toothbrush, that works perfectly fine. And yeah, I just add some stars. I splatter it with my finger over the background and a bit over the lake because again, the lake reflects the sky and we have stars in the sky, so it makes sense to have some stars in the lake. I clean up any of the splatters that may have went over the mountain by just painting over them with more black. And lastly, I slowly peel off the tape in the opposite direction to avoid ripping my paper apart. I'd like to give a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters for the month of January, and thank you all for watching. If you found any value in this video, please let me know by liking, commenting, and if you have not already, please consider subscribing to the channel because that really helps with pushing my videos through the algorithm. Again, thank you for watching and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye bye.